Hey guys, welcome to day 2. Hope you're having a pretty good day, in fact a very good day. So today we're going to be going over our fundamental movement skills on the other side. So we went through hinge and push yesterday. Today we're going through squat and pull. Okay, and as discussed we had a little carry in there at the end there, discuss the carry. I'll probably do the same thing today and that'll round off our 5 fundamental movement skills. Okay, so first of all we'll get into a little warm up and that's going to begin with what's called our Spider-Man walk. Okay. Probably can't see my head, let's bump you up a little bit in the camera. There we go. So from here, what we're going to do is we're going to take one knee, okay, pull it in towards the chest. And then from there, we're trying to obviously find our balance point. Lunge that leg down, okay, spend a little bit of time in that lunge, rocking forwards, opening them ankles a little bit, maybe rocking the hip in. Rocking the hip out, and from there we come up into a hamstring stretch, trying to straighten that leg, and finally we place the hand on the inside of the right foot, so right hand on the inside of the right foot, and we get a nice rotation, nice exhale, and then roll it back down, find your balance, and stand up to swap sides. Okay. While I'm swapping sides, just going to make sure that I actually press start on the recording. Did I? I did. Lovely. Okay, so taking our time on that single leg balance, really putting that knee in towards the chest, creating that posterior pelvic tilt. So we're trying to tuck our pelvis under to get a nice stretch in the hip flexor. We then come down into our lunge. Again, start off just mobilizing that ankle a little bit. Then we can take the hip into external rotation out to the side, internal rotation to the inside, and then we rock back into our hamstring stretch. If you can't straighten the leg, that's fine. Just try and do the best you can. Maybe have a few little pulses in it, because obviously it's a dynamic warm up here, guys. And then the left hand comes to the inside of the left foot, and then we exhale into our rotation. Find your balance, stand tall. Let's do one more each side. Okay, I'll show you from the front. Them ankles, and here I'm just practicing gripping that foot into the floor, keeping that heel down so it's like a squat. From there, push the knee out, external rotation. If you wanted to, you could always add a little drop to the floor as well. Internal rotation, back up for the hamstring stretch, and then from there, rotation. We're really trying to rotate through the thoracic spine there, guys. Okay, so it's not just coming from the shoulder or the hip. We're trying to really rotate through that mid back area. Last one. Get into them ankles. External rotation. Internal. And then hamstrings. Here I'm trying to think about anterior pelvic tilt. So like that hinge yesterday, where we're trying to really tilt the pelvis back. Okay, bum back, think about that, and that'll really get that nice length through the hamstring. And finally, rotating through the thoracic spine. Okay, that's warm-up exercise number 1. Number 2, I'll put you down for a little bit. There we go. And it's going to be, I've called them prone pull-ups. So essentially we're just going to lie on the front. We shouldn't need any equipment for this one. Hopefully you can see me. From here, we're just going to start in our pull-up position. Slide back a little bit more. Legs stay on the floor, tummy stays on the floor, abs stay tight. Okay, so I'm really trying to shorten the distance between the rib cage and the pelvis. Okay, from there, head's just going to hover an inch or 2 off the floor. I'm going to lift the arms up, pull the elbows down towards the hip, and then bring them back to the start position. Lift with straight arms, pull down to the hip, squeezing the shoulder blades down, and then back to the start position. Inhale, exhale once we release. Keeping the abs tight, keeping the legs down, keeping that head about an inch off the floor. So we're just going through that patterning for the pull-up, getting the shoulder blades nice and warm. 2 more. Easy stuff. So the last exercise for our warm-up is going to be a side start plank, okay? Now when we squat, it's very important that we have good lateral hip stability, okay? Especially with the last variation that we do, which is a single leg squat. Well, it's important for all squats, but it'll be more prevalent certainly with the single leg one. So we'll start with an easy variation, okay? Which is just, or easier variation, which is knees bent. We're pushing both the bottom knee and the bottom foot into the floor. We're then driving up into our side plank position and lifting our top leg and pressing the floor away. Okay, the elbow should be roughly underneath the shoulder. Again, pushing up through that shoulder. So we've got a nice plank position. We're feeling it through the lateral side of the torso and also through the outside of the glutes as well. If that's too easy, we can go to a straight leg. Okay, let's take 20 seconds through here. Got roughly 20 seconds. My counting skills aren't amazing. You should feel it on the outside of the glutes, the outside of the torso as well. Five, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Swap sides. Okay, so showing a bit of an angle. From there, should be a nice straight line from shoulder, or from head even to knee, or even to foot rather. From there we bend the leg as easier progression. We push the foot and the knee into the floor, and then we lift. Okay, so really pushing that foot and knee into the floor, keeping a straight line through the torso. If that's very comfortable for you, we'll go for the side start plank, 20 seconds. Five, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good work. So that's our warm-up. Now we'll get into the movements. So just like yesterday, we'll start with an easier variation and then we'll work our way up for a harder variation. The easier variation is going to be an assisted squat. Okay, so I'm going to show you it over here. Probably won't be able to see my full body, but I will move the camera around a little bit so you can throughout these variations. Okay, so I'm just going to use this little sofa here with a lot of equipment stuff on, a lot of bands and stuff. So when we squat, guys, we begin the movement like a hinge. Okay, so we begin the movement by sitting the hips back, and then as soon as we've initially sit them hips back, we then begin to try and basically sit the hips between the legs. Okay, that's globally what a squat should look like. Now, things that I want to bring your attention to is keeping an upright torso, 1. Okay, 2, tracking the knees with the middle 2 toes. Okay, so that means the knees should pass the center of the knee line, should pass between the middle 2 toes throughout the movement. And then finally, ensuring that we grip our feet into the floor. Okay, so number 1, upright torso. Number 2, gliding the knees between the middle 2 toes. And then number 3, gripping the feet into the floor. Number 2 and 3 kind of integrate together a fair bit. So from here, I'm going to take about a hip width stance. Feet will be about 5 to 10 degrees turned out. Now you can look at different ways of assessing your hips. Some people will be more turned out if they're more retroverted in the hips. Some people will be more turned in if they're more antroverted. So there is assessments you can do if you type in Squat University and look at like hip assessment, squat hip assessment. You've got some awesome stuff. So from there, grip the toes into the floor, keep that torso upright. Okay, we'll begin to hinge back and then sit the hips between the legs. And what I can do as I drop down is I can use that assistance to get me into a nice squat position, keeping that torso upright, keeping the knees tracking with the middle 2 toes, and then I stand up. Okay, hinge back, knees go between the middle 2 toes, torso stays upright, stand up. Okay, and just having this assistance just gives us an opportunity to really, find this good position. Okay, we can keep our balance by holding on to it, and we can just really look for them good lines of force. Okay, so if you're doing this and you're noticing that you can't really get your knees very far forwards, okay, and you need to do that to allow your torso to stay upright so you can get balance. So if you're noticing you're quite stiff in your ankles, throughout today, guys, you can always just use these plates, right? So you can have the plates, stick your feet on them, And I've got pretty tight ankles from playing football, so from here, it allows you to stay a lot more upright, allows your knees to track a lot more forwards because we've elevated our heels up. So if you do find that you're struggling a little bit to stay upright, it may be worth the time being, whilst you work on your ankle mobility, just cracking on with some of them heel lifts, okay, so you can still get the squat in there. Good stuff. Number 2, variation number 2, and I suggest you practice all these guys. Not only will it help you understand the squat more, but it'll help you understand, which sort of progression you're on. Move you back a little bit. So number 2 is going to be our goblet squat. Okay, any object will do, guys. Whether you fill up a bottle of water, like a couple of litres of almond milk or whatever it is you've got. I've never seen a 2-litre almond milk bottle. But anything you've got, guys, to hold on to will do. This is just an 9 kilogram kettlebell. From here, gripping my toes into the floor, the knees track between the middle 2 toes. Not going into valgus, track between the middle 2 toes. From that bottom position, if you've got quite a light object, you can press it out, bring it back in, and stand up. If your object's a bit heavier, keep it into your chest. Okay? What you'll notice as you squat down, as you press it out, it makes it really easy to stay upright because it balances you out, and also it trains, makes your core work really hard as well. Okay? Let's show you a few from the side. Grip the toes into the floor. Knees track the middle 2 toes. Torso stays upright. Stand back tall. Okay? Notice by keeping the torso upright and keeping the knees tracking the middle 2 toes, should keep tension in my glutes, tension in my lower back and then extensors, and that should keep my spine nice and straight throughout the movement. Okay, not sort of curl me under into flexion, should keep me nice and neutral throughout the movement. Okay? Usually I find that giving them 3 cues that I discussed, gripping the toes into the floor, knees tracking the middle 2 toes and staying upright, keeps people's back pretty nice and straight. If it doesn't, however, obviously just be mindful that that is another principle to adhere to, all the way from the head down to the tailbone, keeping that nice, straight, neutral posture. Okay. Finally, we've got our skater squat. Now, usually when I do these, I'll have like a pillow, and I'll put my knee down to a pillow. Okay. I don't actually have a pillow because I didn't think about it. So yeah, feel free to grab a pillow when you do these. But essentially, your skater squat. Now, I like to do it with a little bit of weight just to counterbalance me. 2.5 kilograms here, or whatever you've got. From here, one leg at a time. Okay, we hinge back, and that knee's going to track between the middle 2 toes. The other knee touches the floor, and we drive back up. Hinge, grip the toes into the floor, drive back up. Okay, so as we lower down, we can bring the weight further forward to give us more balance. Grip the toes into the floor, knee tracks between the middle 2 toes, knee gently touches, drive back up. Okay. Try and keep your gaze forwards as well. I wasn't doing that there. Good. Okay. Ideally, if you've got a pillow, just try and just touch your knee to the floor like a feather, and then drive back up. What I was doing there, which I'll pay more attention to when we go into the sets, is I was dropping down a bit heavy. Try as best possible to keep that tension through the standing leg. Gentle touch like a feather, and drive back up. Okay. What I'd like to do, guys, is choose your variation. Now, if you've never done, squats properly before, probably suggest doing, one of the 2 squat variations, depending on where you're at. If you have done squats, you feel very comfortable with them cues, and you feel like you're in a good position, then by all means, we'll go through you can go for the skater squat, okay, if you can keep to them principles. So, let's do 3 sets of 10 reps. So if we're doing the assisted or the goblet, that's 10. If we're doing this one, we'll do 5 each side, okay? So, two more. Okay, notice my breathing pattern, similar to the hinge at the top, or the start of the movement. I'm bracing, locking down, exhale as I come back through. gaze forwards to remind myself. And shake it off. That's one set. Okay, so obviously in our squat, guys, we want to keep a nice stable foot. So obviously your toe scrunching to the floor, the heel stays down. Okay, the analogy for the feet is that tripod foot. Big toe, little toe, heel, all gripping into the floor to create that tripod. Okay, same with our balancing skills, with our squat, single leg squat, really try and think about a tripod foot. Okay, next set. If you need to take a little bit more rest, feel free to pause the video at any time. Swap sides. And shake it off again. Whew. Okay, last set I'm going to do goblet squat with a press. Again, if you've got a heavier object, feel free to just keep it in. If you feel comfortable though and you've got a slightly lighter object, feel free to add that press because it can really get you upright and get that torso firing, get that core nice and stiff. Okay, just like with the deadlift, you want that nice stiffness. Okay, like that Coke can. If your Coke can's, not that we should be drinking Coke, but let's say you got a Coke can, Orangina, probably not any better, but Orangina can, and you stand on it and it's not been opened, you can put your weight on it. Lid comes off, it's going to scrunch. Okay, so the same idea, creating pressure through the torso, locking down, pushing out through here, and that allows that stiffness and that stability to occur through the spine. Okay, especially when we work with heavy loads, that's going to be really important. 10 reps. Tripod foot, knees trap the middle two toes, torso stays upright. Control the way down, drive on the way back up. 3 more from the front. Last one. Shake it off, maybe get a drink of water. I should have had a bit more water before I started this. Whew. Put the heating up a little bit as well. It's a bit cold this morning, but I'm a bit too hot now. So now we're going to get into our rows, okay? So I imagine most of you will have some sort of band. If not, you may have access to rings or TRX or something you can row from. I have seen it done, and I think I've tried it before, where you use your table, okay? So, you know, if you haven't got much, you can just sort of get under your table or get under a couple of chairs that are stable, and you can kind of row a bit on them. Can't really get full range of motion, but it's better than nothing. So if that's what you're working with, no problems, only solutions. Thanks, Sasha, for that one. So we'll start with our row. Obviously, same sort of principles apply if you're doing it with a band or with a table. But from here, not going to be a lot of resistance for me for this one because the bands aren't so heavy. But from here, we think about keeping that hinge position. Okay, so neutral spine from head to tailbone. And then I want to think about pulling them elbows down, or like pulling the pinky finger down towards the hip. Okay, so really getting them lats engaged and then controlling back through. Okay, just like with our pushing, you'll notice that I should keep a nice vertical forearm. Okay, and that's going to be the best lines of force. As I pull into that top position, I'm really squeezing them shoulder blades back and they're remaining down the whole time. By pulling the shoulder blades down, that's going to help me engage the lats. And that's why I like the cue of pulling the pinky to the hip, because that'll help depress the shoulder blades and get the lats active. If you're doing this one with quite light band, let's have a 5-second hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, release. 2, 3, 4, 5, release. 2, 3, 4, 5, release. Notice there though, that vertical forearm, okay? So that, that could be where we start. That's very much to get your positioning right with your scapula, get your scapula working with your shoulder. So as you bring that shoulder into more extension, the scapula moves back into retraction to support that, okay? So here it's going to be relatively neutral, maybe slightly protracted. And as we pull into more extension, that's when it retracts more, so the shoulder blade moves with the shoulder, okay? Let's now look at our pull-ups. If you haven't got a door frame pull-up bar, I apologise for putting this one in there, but please do what you can to get yourself a door frame pull-up bar, because absolute lifesaver. It's a little bit wonky, isn't it? But that should be alright. Okay, so to begin with, guys, isometrics. Now, for you, it might just be in the hang to start with, that's okay. Okay, or it might be the top position, might be the mid position. Let's try one in each. So let's begin with just the hang, okay? Straight arms, try and keep your feet off the floor. From there, just try and pull the shoulder blades down. So we're just pulling the knees away from the shoulders. Keeping the elbows completely straight, this would be your active hang. I like to try and pull my hips and my knees slightly further forwards. So I feel my abs engage, I feel that hollow position come into play. Okay, if that's comfortable, shake it off. Just testing them here, so you might want to take a bit more rest. But next position, halfway, elbows at 90 degrees. We're trying to think about pulling, obviously it's an isometric, so it's a hold, but as in that isometric, we think about pulling the elbows down towards the hips. Okay, that's going to put our shoulder blades into a nice position. I'm holding this grip, like the neutral grip, but you guys can obviously hold this one or this one. And I just find this one to be, rather comfortable, so I like it. From here, 90 degrees, legs and hips come slightly in front of the body. Think about pulling the elbows down towards the hips. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax, shake it off. I'd always start with isometrics first, guys, as well, because they're a lot safer. You haven't got the sliding, the tissues, the shearing going on. So yeah, if you're just beginning the exercise, you never really tried pull-ups before, give the isometrics a crack first. You can also stick your feet on a chair. Okay, so you could put your feet in front of you on a chair like this. I would suggest putting them in front just so you keep that nice core tension. You can also use a band if you've got one, or you can have a partner to support you. So you've got loads of options here, guys, and how you can integrate into it. Learning to pull up might be a great little challenge to do over the next 30 days. Finally, top position. Again, pulling the elbows down towards the hips. Hips and feet stay slightly in front of the body. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Shake it off. Finally, we've got pull-ups. So obviously it's different to maybe if you're doing it on a bar where you can fully hang from. But again, the same sort of principles apply. So we're trying to pull our elbows down to our hips. That will mean at the top position, our shoulders will be down and slightly back as well. Okay, but we're really thinking about pulling the elbows down towards the hips. Once again, that'll keep that vertical forearm. Okay, and the lines of force will be most efficient. Okay, and secondly, we're thinking about keeping that hollow body position as much as we can. So at the bottom, obviously, the knees are bent. As we pull up, try and come into hollow. Control back to hang. Fast on the way up, slow on the way down. 3 more. Fast on the way up, slow on the way down. And relax, shake it off. Okay, so again, we'll do 3 sets. Choose the variation that you prefer. If you're doing the band one, I want you to do 5 sets, or rowing on the chair or the table or whatever you've got. I want you to do 5 sets of 5 sets of 5 reps with a 5-second hold at the top. Okay. If you're doing the isometrics, I want you to do 5 seconds on each isometric. So 5 at the top, 5 at the bottom, 5 halfway, 5 at the top. Probably best to do top, halfway, bottom actually. So 5 at the top, 5 halfway, 5 at the bottom. Okay. And then if you're doing the pull-ups, we'll do 5 reps. Okay. Let's change the camera angle slightly so you get some different angles going on. Yeah, that'll do us. Five reps. I'll change the grip here a little bit. Pushing the hips and feet in front of the body. Okay, so notice that top position. Shoulders aren't doing this, they're doing this. Okay, pulling shoulders down and slightly back. and that's putting our sapper in a nice position. Often we'll see people kind of come forwards like this, which is really important to sit them shoulder blades back and down. Think about pulling the elbows down towards the hip, getting them lats in, and that'll be a nice strong position for you in the pull-ups. Okay. If you want to progress it, we can try doing it in an L sit. Okay. So again, you won't be able to see the L sit, will you? I think I'll get better at shooting these in the weeks to come. Let's hope anyway. So to make it even harder, what we could do is we could put the legs out in front of the body. Again, same principles apply with the shoulder blades. Obviously it keeps us in just a more difficult core position because then the legs are out in front. But again, if you want to, you can try that variation. If the pull-ups feel really easy for 5 reps, it's quite a nice one. Again, feel free to take longer rests than the video puts on. Feel free to pause it at any time. I'm trying to get through these in 15 minutes, but it's not happening. So yeah, feel free to pause the video because I'm trying to rush it a little bit. So you know, 2 minutes is probably best with a movement like this. So yeah, feel free to have a little pause. Let's finish with the isometrics. Okay, so top position 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Shake it off. 5. In fact, take 3 breaths between. 1, 2, 3. Halfway. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3 breaths through the nose. Nice long exhale. Last one, staying active in that hang. So arms straight, pull the ears away from the shoulders, knees in front of the body. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax. Awesome, guys. So there's your session for today. That's the fundamental movement skills part 2. Going through going through squat and pull. Okay. Once again, I'd strongly advise you get some carries or some locomotion in there. Whether that's carrying your mate, carrying your son or daughter, your dog, your partner, whatever it may be, or if it's you know, carrying some sort of object, probably safer. But yeah, getting out there, getting outside, doing some carries, or a walk or a run or whatever it may be, but adding that sort of locomotion in there, I think is a fantastic addition to any training program. So if you can, see if you can crack on with them today, even if it's just for a few minutes. And yeah, hope you enjoyed the video. Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow.